quickest way, and I think most expeditious way to get justice for these victims is to bring inherent contempt against Pam Bondi.
Damn! When we saw those documents, we were just shocked. Documents totally redacted. Essie and I are ready. We're drafting articles of impeachment as we speak about Pam Bondi and Blanchard. We're not going to drop them right away. They're saying they're going to keep producing things until the end of the year, but we're ready.
Republicans are on board with it. Yes, this is from a Democratic lawmaker regarding the possible impeachment of Attorney General Pam Bondi. See, last week saw what might be the strangest political mashup of the year. Republicans and Democrats teaming up in their anger at the Department of Justice. Same DOJ led by Trump's appointee Attorney General Bondi over the partial, heavily redacted release of the Epstein files, which continued to evolve as the weekend went on with just photos of Trump disappearing suddenly.
Blanche, I want to follow up with you on what you just said. You were referencing the 15 files released Friday. They disappeared from DOJ's website yesterday, including this photo of what looks like a desk with a drawer open containing photos of Donald Trump. Just to be very clear, to put a fine point on it, why were these files taken down? You're saying it was at the direction of a judge?
Well, you can see in that photo, there's photographs of women. And so we learned after releasing that photograph that there were concerns about those women and the fact that we had put that photo up. So we pulled that photo down. It has nothing to do with President Trump. There are dozens of photos of President Trump already released to the public, seeing him with Mr. Epstein. He has said that in the 90s and early 2000s, he socialized with him. So the absurdity of us pulling down a photo, a single photo, because President Trump was in it, is laughable. And the fact that everybody's trying to act like that's the case is a reflection of their true motivation. But the reality is anybody, any victim's lawyers, any victim rights group can reach out to us and say, hey, Department of Justice, there's a document, there's a photo, there's something within the Epstein files that identifies me. And we will then, of course, pull that off and investigate it.
Are you saying that one or more of the women in one of the photos or several of the photos is a victim or a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein, and that's why you took those files down? And will they be put back up?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
And well, as a result, it's continued into this week. Lawmakers are openly discussing impeachment and contempt proceedings if officials continue to withhold or delay documents that a law signed by Trump himself requires be made public. If you need a wee refresher, the Epstein Files Transparency Act was passed back in November and signed into law by President Trump, and it required that the Justice Department release all unclassified files related to federal investigations into Epstein by December 19, 2025. As we know too well, when that deadline hit, what came out was only a partial batch of documents, many of them heavily redacted, and at least one photo, which included Trump, was briefly removed from the public database. The sequence of events triggered sharp bipartisan backlash, with Republican Representative Thomas Massie, one of the original co-sponsors of the transparency law, and Democrat Ro Khanna. They've been leading the charge and warning that the DOJ's handling may have violated the very clear requirements of the statute. And as a result, they're now threatening consequences if compliance doesn't improve, including impeachment or inherent contempt proceedings against specifically Attorney General Pam Bondi.
What are you going to do about it to force them to comply? I mean, can you do anything?
Oh, absolutely. Look, people have talked about, and by the way, Todd Blanche is the face of this, but it's really the Attorney General's office, Pam Bondi, who is responsible. And there are several ways to get at this. Some take longer, some are shorter. The quickest way, and I think most expeditious way to get justice for these victims, is to bring inherent contempt against Pam Bondi. And that doesn't require going through the courts, and give her, and basically Ro Khanna and I are talking about and drafting that right now.
When we saw those documents, we were just shocked. Documents totally redacted. None of the key things actually released. The draft indictment, the prosecution memo, those documents that would show who were the other rich and powerful men who abused these young girls or covered it up. none of the files on the computers of Epstein released that would actually implicate the other people. And, you know, the country's asking, why are you protecting these folks? What are you hiding? Massey and I are ready. We're drafting articles of impeachment as we speak about Pam Bondi and Blanchard. We're not going to drop them right away. They're saying they're going to keep producing things until the end of the year, but we're ready to use them. And we're talking to survivors about showing up again at the Capitol. We're going to continue the fight.
Let's not gloss over that, right? Impeachment, not of the president, not of some low-level bureaucrat, but of the Attorney General of the United States in a Republican administration where they have complete control. I mean, if that isn't indicative of how much of a shite show this is, then nothing will be.
They are absolutely in violation of the law. They just admitted they were in violation of the law. The law says they needed to release everything by today, not starting today, not part of it today, all of it by today. And let's be clear, there's no excuse for this. I mean, they've been redacting files since back in March when they claimed they were going to release the Epstein files. And then again, 4 months ago, we issued a subpoena from the Oversight Committee in Congress, asking them to release the files. They're in violation of that. And they released a tranche of documents back then and then stopped releasing documents. So there's no excuse for this. They're in violation of the law, and we will pursue every possible legal avenue.
And as we've said before on this channel, not only is this a bipartisan issue regarding lawmakers, it's an issue that brings voters together, Americans on opposite ends of the political spectrum, because it's indicative of something that they believe is a major problem in US politics, and that is corruption, lack of accountability, and powerful people avoiding scrutiny.
Look, they're all in red. They're all in the negative territory. But on immigration, you know, he's 5 points underwater. Foreign policy, 8 points. Trade and tariffs, he's 17 points. The economy, 18 points. But look at the Epstein case. He is 39 points below water on the Epstein case. His net approval is 39 points in the negative. My goodness gracious. What Donald Trump has been selling on the Epstein files, the Epstein case, the American people, simply put, have not been buying at all, Sarah Seidner.
They were promised full transparency, and instead, this is what they got. Mostly redactions that appear to shield high-profile individuals. And the officials that they put their faith in were treating a deadline as more of a suggestion than a law. And while they claim that they're taking more time to protect victims, survivors of Epstein's abuse are also speaking out. They're the ones that are saying that this staggered, redacted release fails to deliver the full disclosure that was promised and was legally required.
I just read Todd Blanche's statement saying that we're going to see more in the coming weeks. And that makes me really nervous. Wow. And well, because we were really prepared. We had hoped that we would see everything today. And we didn't think that that was realistic. And again, like I speak for myself, survivors are not a monolith, right? We all have our different backstories and opinions and views, right? So, but for me, I was not the most hopeful that we would get everything, but there was a piece of me that wanted that part to be wrong. And the fact that we still haven't seen anything feels a little nerve-wracking.
Well, yeah.
Here's the kicker, right? All of this is showing up regarding how people perceive the Republican Party and this administration in polling, not just as abstract disapproval, but as measurable political pain for President Donald Trump and his broader political brand. I mean, this is why you see the likes of Speaker Johnson on stage this weekend at the Turning Point event, and he's less than chipper when he tried to discuss the matter of next year's midterm. Recent surveys show that Trump's approval rating, which was already dire, is slipping further in the wake of the Epstein files controversy. And at the same time, unsurprisingly, Pam Bondi's own approval rating has cratered also, plunging dozens of points as the public reacts negatively to the DOJ's handling of this entire issue. When voters feel like transparency laws can be bent, delayed, or ducked with partial releases and backdoor redactions, it only further erodes trust in the government and in particular this administration. This is one of those rare controversies that cuts across party lines because it feels like we're being lied to. It feels like a failure of governance, not just a partisan squabble.
And this is the first topic that all of us as Americans, not as Democrats, not as liberals, not as Republicans, are actually lining together and saying we all want the Epstein files. And I said, come on, Donald, give us those files.
We are here at the Turning Point USA Summit in Tampa, Florida. It is a big gathering of Trump supporters. And one thing everybody seems to be talking about here this weekend, Jeffrey Epstein.
We need to get to the bottom of Epstein because Epstein is the key that picks the lock.
Let me just ask you, make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
This is Turning Point USA's Student Action Summit. It's an event aimed at mobilizing young conservatives. Ultimately, I mean, how bad do you think it would be for the MAGA movement, for young people's trust in Trump if by the end of his term they don't release everything they know about Epstein?
Well, I think that if they don't release the Epstein files, whatever J.D. Vance says then is irrelevant because it's like everybody's going to take it as like a lie because of what Donald Trump did. But I think J.D. Vance wants these files released as well. And I think that Donald Trump, he promised them, so he needs to do it. No matter who's on them, we need to release the Epstein files.
Because right now, the whole debate's about Bongino versus Bondi, but ultimately it's Trump's decision, right? I mean, he has the power.
It's Trump's decision. It's Trump's decision. I think, again, and I'm not going to make the decision for the president. It's not my job. It's not my place. But I do think the way that I'm seeing it played out is that Bongino will be here and Pam Bondi will be the fall guy.
And well, as a result, impeachment is firmly on the table.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.